How you doing, man?
Fine.
A little wet and cold or what?
Yes, wet and cold, yes.
What do you think about this whole thing?
It's nice. It's nice. It's great.
What's in those backpacks that's so important?
The long johns, the gloves, the hat, keep you warm on the inside.
With your nose so bright, won't you ride my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Merry Christmas!
I am here tonight because 30 years ago, a beautiful woman by the name of Linda Greenberg started giving out backpacks and blankets and warm gloves, hats and scarves to those living on the streets in Baltimore from the trunk of her car. And here we are 30 years later, and tonight, we have delivered to over 22 shelters in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Annapolis area, and we just want to give back and help those who need a little bit of assistance during the holiday season.
Linda Greenberg started this 35 years ago, and she's really a remarkable person, and I'm so awed by her. She has a way of just bringing you in, and her desire to do what's right for all these people that are so needy overrides everything else she's doing.
I've been very blessed. I come from a very philanthropic family. It was just a given responsibility to reach out and help other people. And there was never a difference between the people we were helping and ourselves. We were all considered one universal family. And that's the way I grew up, expecting to help other people.
About 12 years ago, I got involved in giving back with my son. We saw how great the need was, and then we saw that this was an organization that we could really make an impact in, and so we felt strongly about our ability to do that. Baltimore, Washington, recent studies have shown there's about 12,000 homeless between the two cities. The biggest change we've seen is so many families. Now we see more women and children and men on the streets. Giving back has evolved into where we view our mission as twofold. And there's one very important mission, which is to get out and to bring really life-saving gear to folks that are living on the streets or living in shelters, and that's really important. But we say that equally important is the ability to educate and inspire young people, both in volunteering and also the state of homelessness here in our community, in Baltimore, in Washington, D.C., in our own county. The backpack program started about 8 years ago now, and we were looking for a way to be more efficient, and we came up with this idea of these backpacks. It became very easy for us, or much easier, to have a package inside a backpack that allowed us to just size it, large, extra large, or whatever the size is, and be able to match the size with the recipient in a very easy package.
Which socks would you like? Yep, those. Oh no. There you go. Put them in your bag. Perfect.
We've got schools, we've got churches and youth groups, and we make it very easy for them. We give them a list of the goods that we would like: the hoodie, the top and bottom thermals, the gloves, a hat, warm socks, and it's evolved where people put Christmas cards in, or other stuff, toiletries in. And so now when we go out on Christmas Eve, we have a truck of extra large backpacks which have all those clothes in it, and it makes it very easy. And not that I want to go through the folks that we see, I don't want to go through them quickly, but what I really want to do is I want to spend more time talking to them and communing with them instead of worried about what size their waist is so I can find pants. The School of Incarnation, which is our largest contributor of backpacks, one of the reasons we've had so much success there is that practically their whole school comes out with us on Christmas Eve. It's a big event. And this is a school that is kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a big event for the whole school.
My school has been a part of giving back, and I have been a part of giving back for a very long time. I think giving back is a really great way to help out with the community and the community in Baltimore.
This is my 20th year.
I've done this a couple years in a row, and I love doing it. It's a way to use up my time in a good way, where I'm not wasting it. Really, it's just I'm helping other people that are less fortunate.
We get about 2,000 backpacks. My estimate is for the folks on the street, we probably need closer to 3,000 or 4,000 backpacks. So a great way for somebody to participate is in their business, in their church, synagogue, in their school, creating this collection of backpack goods. And we supply the backpacks. All the organization has to do is supply the filler, and we're happy to help them with that. But that's where our need really is. Our goal is just to get as many backpacks as we can, because there are so many folks that need them, and we're always falling short on Christmas Eve. We come into Annapolis at the farmers market in Annapolis on December 20th every year. And that's really the start of the meat of the drive. That's when folks can bring bags of clothes, winter clothes that they want to donate. It's when schools can bring the backpacks that they've done, they bring their food drives. Everything comes down to the farmers market in Annapolis. And we'll have U-Haul trucks that are all loaded, and they're all assigned to a particular shelter. For instance, the Dayspring House in Baltimore. And so we know what is in the Dayspring House. It's families, it's women and young children. So as we're getting these donations, we're putting the appropriate donations on the appropriate truck. We have, 15 or 16 trucks that are all going out, some of which are going to Washington, D.C. That's the trucks over behind me. After the hard work that have come over the last 4 months, December 24th is typically a joyous and exciting day. We have, between the morning deliveries and the afternoon deliveries, we probably have 500 or 600 volunteers on a typical Christmas Eve. And it's from strollers age, from people in strollers, to grandparents and great-grandparents. As you're coming to volunteer on Christmas Eve morning, I'm standing there with 8 different colored sheets, and I'm on the fly, I'm picking one out and giving it to the driver, and it'll give them a line to get in, and that line will set them up right behind the trucks that are going to those shelters, and it'll be 2 U-Haul trucks or 3 U-Haul trucks, and maybe 10 cars following behind. And even that adds to some of the excitement as you're pulling up into the streets. In the morning, we go out to shelters, and we're inside shelters. We meet the residents in a lot of cases. We'll sing Christmas carols. We'll give them cookies and fruit. We may get a tour of the shelter. There's one shelter helping up that will typically do a Christmas Eve worship service with their residents leading the music of the worship service.
Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask you to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all the dear children in your tender care, and take us to heaven to live with you there.
The kids really do bring their friends and bring their peers, and it's really been a great experience for both groups. When they go out and they're talking to their friends about coming and helping, what really is important to them is this idea that they can actually interact with the folks in the shelter, folks on the street, and that's very meaningful to today's kids. It's not just a matter of donating something or bringing something someplace.
Do you want white or milk?
One of the stops that we've gone to for the last number of years is in East Baltimore. It's on Central Avenue, and typically we'll pull up and there'll be a couple hundred folks waiting for us, and they know where we're going to pull. They're lined up typically against the building, and it really becomes a celebration.
Thank y'all. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Did you get an orange? Here you go. What's your name? Okay, I'm Jackie. Nice to meet you.
We went right to the tent cities, didn't enter into the tent cities, just stood on the boundaries of it and let the folks, if they wanted to, come to us. Gave them sandwiches, gave them a backpack, coats, and it was a real remarkable experience. It was as true to the mission of reaching folks sleeping on the street as we can get.
Here's an orange. And then you can get a one. Have a Merry Christmas.
Because these folks were going to spend Christmas Eve in a tent underneath an overpass here in Baltimore City. When these young people get into that world, it's almost like being in a whole different reality for them. It's really an upside down experience. Today, if kids see somebody homeless on the street, for the most part, they look the other way and they go. And on Christmas Eve, what we're saying is when we get out there, we want you to put a hand on their shoulder. We want you to look them in the eye. We want you to have a moment with them. And for a lot of these folks on the street, it's the only time all year that anybody really acknowledges their existence. So when I say it's an upside down experience, 364 days they're one way, and we want them this one day to be the exact opposite. And when they experience that, particularly when they run into young people like themselves that are in that experience, it really becomes ingrained in them. It becomes a totally different experience. And maybe by learning that, maybe they'll do that again throughout the year, and we can begin to change the stigma of the way people view the homeless or folks that are living in shelters.
It's very important to me, man. You know what I mean? Every year I come down here, it's a blessing, man. It really is. And I praise my high power. They keep on doing this. And it's for everybody, for the world. I hope the world gets better than it is. Thank the Lord. Thank you.